Hey, what's up, you guys? So the number one question I think that I've gotten over the past couple of months has been actually a variation of the same question, but is the housing market going to crash due to COVID, or what have the effects of COVID been on the housing market? So I wanted to make this quick video just to outline what I've personally seen and felt, as well as what the market data is showing us. So let's dive into this. So what I did here is I'm utilizing a tool that's available to realtors that are members of the Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors, and that's the MyBOR Market Insights tool. What I did here was I filtered down to the market that I serve, which is primarily the south side of Indianapolis and the south side suburbs in Johnson County. So I narrowed down to the south, and I also included Wayne, Center, and Warren townships because I do cover those also. All of Johnson County, and then all of the south side townships of Marion County. I narrowed down into, I typically work with buyers for properties that are about 100,000 and above and up to about $500,000. I'm not out there selling McMansions all day long. So wanted to narrow this and focus this down into the folks that I'm actually working with. So that's just to cover what data we're looking at. And we're able to look at a few very key metrics here that are really going to be helpful in determining, is the market going to crash or what's going to happen? So first off, when we looked at the number of closed sales, this is a timeline back from January of 2014 until now. We'll notice a trend. So essentially what happens is number of closed sales dips in winter and peaks in the middle of summer. And when it's important to note that number of closed sales actually trails the pendings. So typically an escrow period, so the time that you get an accepted offer to the time that you close, is anywhere from 30 to 60 days. So when we're looking at data from January closed sales, those homes likely pended in November or December previous to that closing. So when we look at this and what happened in 2019, January was the slump. February started to pick up. March really picked up. April picked up a little bit more. May a little bit more. Slight dip in June. And then July was the peak. Then we started to see it go down into January of 2020. February starts to pick up a little bit. March starts to pick up even more. And what we would have expected to see was April pick up more, but COVID rolled around and really kind of flattened things out. So this is, again, the reason you're seeing a spike even into March, even with the lockdowns happening in March, is because these are pendings from January and February that closed in March. And then we saw a slight drop into April. And I expect that this is going to stay relatively flat into May. When we look at median sales price, it's higher than it's ever been. And the reason for that is that it's been an extremely competitive market. We'll dive a little bit further into that in some of these next numbers we look at. I also want to point out that median price is not because these are larger square foot or bigger homes that are selling. Sold price per square foot is also at an all-time high. So we're going to look at a couple other numbers here. One is cumulative days on market. Again, you'll notice a trend that we typically see. In winter, this is high, and in summer, this gets low. What we saw this year was winter was high, summer or spring and into summer, again, low. And that's what drives your pricing. It's just basic laws of supply and demand. So as things are selling faster, they're selling faster because there are more buyers, and hence prices go up. We'll look at the active inventory situation. Again, you're going to notice a trend here. So active inventory, typically there's more homes on the market kind of in that fall range. And then it starts to dive into winter, spring, it starts to pick up in summer again. And what you'll notice is this trend looks like it's going to continue. I can't predict that, but it looks like it's pretty in line with what we were expecting, which is a good thing. Next, the absorption rate, which I think is one of the most critical factors in determining what is going on in the market. So this is a number that is what it would take, how long it would take, how many months to sell off all the current inventory if buyer demand stayed the same and if no more homes came on the market. So a balanced market, the experts generally agree, is about 5 to 6 months. Indianapolis hasn't seen that since 2015. And we are at right now 1.2 months worth of inventory, which means that this is an extremely hot seller's market. More than likely, if you have a home in a desirable neighborhood that is priced correctly and is a good deal, your home is going to sell extremely fast and you're going to have multiple offers. Just this last week, I was in two situations, one where we were one of 5 offers and one where we were one of 15 offers, which is absolutely crazy. We'll look at another number, and that's the number of pending sales. So again, we typically see this increase from winter into spring, kind of table in summer, and then take a dive in winter again. So this year we saw increase, and it kind of tabled here in April. I think it's going to stay relatively flat into May as well. So what that means is buyer demand is kind of leveling. You know, there's not a huge influx of new buyers, but folks that were planning to buy over winter, they were still buying coming into spring here. But then the next number that we should look at and compare is the number of new listings. So this is a number that typically we see this goes down in winter, strongly comes up in March, April, and May, and tables in summer. And what we saw this year was it went up, 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 and dove in April. So we've got a flat number of buyers and we've got a dive in inventory. What does that mean? It means if you're a buyer right now, there's less homes on the market and you're going to pay more. And if you're a seller right now, there's less homes on the market and you're going to get more for your home. Ultimately, my word of advice to buyers is if you don't need to buy a home right now, it may actually be a good idea to wait a month or two. If you need to buy a home right now, make sure your agent is extremely good and diligent, because I will say price is not the only factor. And oftentimes I find that price isn't even necessarily the top of the list. The terms of your offer can be much stronger. And so I've had great success a number of times with buyers now in winning these bidding wars without even having the biggest price, just by being willing to give that seller the terms that they want. Do they want to close in 30 days? Do they want to close in 60 days? Do what they would like to do if you're in a position to, and that will greatly help you. If you're a seller right now and you're thinking, well, I'm going to wait until the COVID situation is resolved before I do anything, I honestly don't think that's a great idea. What I think is going to happen is, and I know this personally because I know a lot of folks that were planning to list their homes with me in spring and are wanting to hold off until summer. I think we're going to see that normal influx of new listings that we did in April and May. I think that's going to get pushed back to June or July. And so I think you're going to be in a less competitive position. And also, I think right now, if you sold your home within the next few weeks and had that normal 30 to 60 day escrow period, I think you would time things really well to be looking to buy a home at a time when I think we're going to see an increase in new listings. I think that was pretty much all the data I want. Yeah, that's all the data I wanted to go through. So the answer to my question, to that question, essentially is, if I were a betting man, now I'm no macroeconomist or anything like that, but if I were a betting man, no, the housing market is not going to crash. This is not like 2008. What I do think is going to happen is we're going to see strong prices, and I think we're going to see a delayed spring into summer here, where we're going to have a really, really hot selling season in summer. I'm ready for it. I know a bunch of other realtors are as well, but I'm still selling homes through this whole mess. Actually, at an alarming rate. It's been pretty awesome. I've been pretty busy, staying up. You know, generally working 8 or 9 in the morning until midnight. So if you have any questions or need any help and want any insight on your particular situation, let me know. Would be happy to help.